That looks pretty good. Oh. Hey guys, what is up? What's going on? It's your girl Ashley and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm throwing it all the way back. I'm doing another one of my dupe videos. I filmed so many of these last year where I compared cheap eyeshadows versus high-end eyeshadows, y'all. We're comparing the ABH Soft Glam palette to the Bad Habit Arabesque palette, and it will have you shook. Okay. I'm wearing two completely different eyeshadow palettes on my eyeballs. Can you tell? Can you? Let me know in the comments down below. You guys already know the drill. Pause the video. Let me know which side you guys think is cheap and which side you think is high end. I personally think it's undetectable. Like, what? You know what? I'm not gonna toot my own horn. If you guys haven't seen any of my other comparison videos where I compare cheap eyeshadows versus high-end eyeshadows, definitely check out the playlist. I did Huda Beauty Rose Gold, Desert Dust. I've done the Naked Heat palette. I've done so many on my channel, so I definitely love it if you guys check that out. Press that subscribe button, click that little bell so that you guys are notified anytime I upload, which is 2 times a week, every single week. And without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and hop into the demo. All right, you guys, before we begin, you know the drill. I'm gonna give you guys some specs on each individual palette. So we're gonna start off with the iconic Soft Glam palette by ABH, and I say iconic because it literally is that. This is my go-to eyeshadow palette. It does retail for $42. It does have that very velvety kind of like suede material going on for the packaging. When you flip it open, you get a full-size mirror. You also get a brush, which I tossed. I never use them, let's be real. And you also get all of these eyeshadows right here. This is the perfect everyday eyeshadow palette. Like, I thought Modern Renaissance was great. This is greater. Like, it's bae all day. I put so many people onto the shadow palette. Everything about the shadows are amazing, creamy, buildable, blendable. Honestly, you cannot go wrong with ABH shadows. Like, you really can't. Definitely a steal, but there is an alternative to this palette if you don't have $42 to spend. Are you ready? Okay, that was probably a little bit dramatic, but this is the Bad Habit Erebus shadow palette. Like, can we just take a second? The packaging is super duper cute. When you open it up, you do get a full-size mirror, and this is what the shadows look like. In comparison to Soft Glam, they are pretty spot on, I'm not gonna lie. $42, $16. Now this does retail for $16. It can only be purchased exclusively over on shophush.com. Actually, I want to say you can only purchase their palettes using their app now. So if you don't have the ShopHush app, you probably won't see this available. Now I will say, back when I first started doing these comparison videos, Bad Habit used to sell their palettes for $10. They are $16 now. They're raising the price point just because they are in such popular demand. I honestly remember it like it was yesterday. I was the first person to ever dupe royals to Modern Renaissance on YouTube. And back then they were $10. So they did increase the price point to $16, but honestly, $16 still is a lot lower than $42. Now, they do look extremely similar. You guys know what I like to do is I like to swatch the shadows on my arms just so that way you guys can get a side-by-side comparison. Keep in mind, I do not believe in one finger swatch. That goes for the ABH Soft Glam and also the Arabesque Bad Habit palette, simply because I don't believe that one swatch can truly determine whether or not a shadow is good or bad. So they are built up to their full intensity. That's what they look like on the arms, and that's pretty much my little specs on the palette. So if you guys are ready to see the demo, then without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, you guys, we're just gonna go ahead and jump straight into it. You guys know the drill. On one side, I'm gonna do Bad Habit, and then on the other side, I'm gonna do ABH. I'm gonna do Bad Habit on my left side, and then I am gonna do ABH on my right side. So are you guys ready for this? I'm like super excited. This video has been so highly requested, and I'm finally sitting down to film it for you guys. So before we begin with the look, you guys know I'm gonna prime my eyelids. I'm just gonna use a little bit of my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This is in the shade Light Neutral. And I'm gonna take a little bit of this and I'm gonna prime my eyelids on both sides. I'm just using this fluffy brush. This is by It Cosmetics, and I'm gonna use this brush to buff out the concealer all over my eyelids, and you want this to lay really, really nice and even. Once I have that primer all over, I'm gonna take a damp Morphe sponge, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pounce it directly over top. This is just gonna ensure that my base is nice and even. So now that my lids are nice and primed, I'm now gonna move on to shadow application. From the Bad Habit palette, I'm gonna pick up the shade called Interlude. Interlude, which is a really beautiful warm tone brown. I'm going to take it on a Sigma E25. Actually, this is a Morphe M433, and I'm going to take this shade and I'm just going to go ahead and work it right here towards the outer V. Oh, do you guys see the pigment on that? Like, Bad Habit palette, y'all. Bad Habit, not Soft Glam, Bad Habit. As I was saying, I'm just going to go ahead and pack this right here towards the outer corner until I have nothing left on my brush. So I'm just pat, pat, pat. Pat that shadow. Okay, once I have nothing left on my brush, I'm just gonna go ahead and sweep it into my crease like so. Keep in mind I did not apply a loose translucent color just because I really want these shadows to stand out and pop. So I'm really just gonna continue to concentrate this color on the outer V of the lid. Then whatever's left over, I'm just gonna brush it into the crease a little bit. Now you don't want to bring the shadow super up close right here in the very inner corner. You want to keep the shadow pretty low in this inner corner with whatever you have left on the brush. As I get to the inner corner right here, I'm keeping it below the crease and I'm not dragging it too far up to the brow bone. I think the shadow is building up really, really, really nicely. Like, it's a really beautiful kind of like soft brown color, which I love, especially for putting in my crease and just warming things up before we start really intensifying the look. The dupe in the Soft Glam palette is called Burnt Orange. I am swapping? I'm switching brushes just so that way I don't use the same exact brush I used on the opposite side. And this is really just going to give you guys a clear vision of the intensity of each shadow palette. So I'm just taking it just like I did on the other side, packing it towards the outer corner, and then when I have nothing left on my brush, I'm going to start sweeping it into the crease. So you don't want to start sweeping into your crease until the majority of the product has already left your brush. One thing I will say about the side that I'm applying the ABH shadow on is that it is extremely pigmented. However, it's not blending out as nicely as the Bad Habit side. I am having to really go in and buff and blend the product a little bit more than the other side. I will say so far, you guys, the colors are pretty spot on. Like, do you guys see? This is the Soft Glam side and this is the Bad Habit side. Like, the colors are pretty similar, if not identical. Moving back over to the Arabesque palette, I'm going to use this shade right here called Relieve, and I'm going to go ahead and pop it on the outer corners, and I'm going to use the same brush. Do you guys see that? Like, I dipped it in one time. That is crazy to me. I'm going to pop it right here, and I'm going to keep this color pretty low on the lid. I'm not going to take it above the crease, so you really just want to pack her right here. It does get softer once I blend it out, but I'm going to try to build it up to a deeper intensity. Once I have that color all over the lid, I'm going to go in with a Morphe M441, and I'm just going to go ahead and rock this in the crease to really just buff out any harsh edges. From the Soft Glam palette, I'm going to pick up the shade right here. This one is called Mulberry, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to use my Sigma E25, and I'm really just going to go ahead and pack this color closest to the outer V. I will say that the ABH side is a lot deeper. As you can see, the more I pack the color on, the deeper it becomes. As you guys can see, I went like a little bit heavy-handed on the side where I applied Mulberry, like Soft Glam. Like, in comparison, you can see how deep that shadow really builds up in comparison to this side right here. It's a little crazy. So the Soft Glam side is definitely a lot deeper than the Bad Habit side. So what I'm going to do on the Bad Habit side is I'm going to take my Sigma E25 and I'm going to mix Relieve and also Melodrama right here, which is that brown color, together to see if I can kind of get the same look, because the Relieve color just does not compare to the ABH palette. So I'm just going to kind of mix the two. So this is as good as a Bad Habit side is gonna get. I just mixed a little bit of Relieve and Melodrama together, which is that brown and that mulberry color, and this is what I was able to build it up to in comparison to this side. Honestly, I don't think it's a huge deal. I still think both sides look really good. The only thing I will say is that the Soft Glam side is just a little bit deeper, but I feel like it'll all come together in the end once I'm finished with the entire look. Moving on, the next shade I'm gonna take from the Bad Habit palette is this one right here. This one is called Leotard. It's a black shade. I'm going to take it on a Morphe M514, tap off the excess, and I'm going to go ahead and buff it right here towards the base of my lash. I'm really going to go ahead and build this up in a diffused way, and then I'm going to go in with more of a concentrated brush and really pack it closest to the lash line. So as you can see, I took this color and I really built it up towards the base of the lash. Whatever's left on the brush, I'm just going to go into the socket right here, and I'm going to go in circular motions to really just intensify the color while blending it out at the same time. Again, I am using a Morphe M514 to do this. I'm switching brushes to Morphe M441, and I'm going to use this brush to pack the color right here on the outer V, and then I'm going to take the point of the brush to really just rock it into my crease. Now I know this is really dark and vampy, but I did want to show you guys just how versatile this palette is. I've already done 2 complete looks using the Soft Glam palette, so I definitely wanted to do something way out of my comfort zone. From the Soft Glam palette, I'm going to pick up the shade right here in the corner. This one is called Noir, and I'm going to take it on a clean Morphe M514 brush, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to start right here towards the base of the lash, and I'm going to kind of wiggle the color there so that way it is nice and diffused, and I'm just buffing it out like so. Ooh, pretty, really pretty. Y'all are probably like, girl, you're taking that color to a whole new level. The black from the Soft Glam palette has a lot of pigment to it. Like, as you can see, it's super dark, it's super black. I am here for it and I am living. So I'm just going in little circular motions. I'm gonna put it in the crease, but I'm gonna try not to take it above the transitional shade right here. Now that we're all the way smoked out, I'm gonna go in with my Bad Habit palette, and I'm gonna go back in with a shade called Interlude on a Morphe M441. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that shade, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and lightly buff it right above that black shade, just so that way it peeks out a little bit more, because I feel like we kind of lost it in the process of adding that black. I'm also gonna pick up a little bit of this shade right here called Ballet Slippers. I'm gonna use a Morphe M505, and I'm gonna take this into the crease. I'm pretty much just taking this where the black meets the brown to kind of just soften it a little bit. And I'm really just focusing this right here towards the outer corner, and I'm not taking it in the inner corner right here. From the ABH side, I'm going to pick up the shade called Burnt Orange right here with a Morphe M441. I went ahead and just cleaned off the same one I used on the Bad Habit side, and I'm going to place it right above the black because we kind of lost this shade. So I'm kind of bringing it back a little bit. Now you don't really need a lot because the ABH side is super duper pigmented, so that's looking pretty good. I'm now going to switch over to a Morphe M505 brush like this, and I'm going to pick up the shade called Sienna from the Soft Glam palette right here, and I'm going to place that exactly where the black meets the brown to soften up that edge a little bit. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking a clean M441 and I'm just going over the edges just to ensure that everything is blended. And since I'm not applying color, I'm using the same brush. What do y'all think? Like, this is a look. Panda eyes for the win. No? All right, I'm just kidding. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with my Flart Shape Tape Concealer. Look. Got that foo-foo. So I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to use it to cut my crease. I have my MAC 242 brush, which is the brush I like to use to do this step. So I'm going to coat it really, really nicely, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut the crease. Just like that, and... Now that my crease is nice and cut, I'm going to go in with the Bad Habit palette, and I'm going to pick the shade called Tutu, which is a really pretty soft pale gold. I'm going to use my MAC 242 brush, spray it with a little bit of Fix Plus, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this on the inner part of my lid. And the reason that I wet it on top of cutting my crease is because it just gives you a little bit more precision. It allows you to place the gold in such a precise way. From the Soft Glam palette, I'm going to pick the shade called Fairy, which again is a soft pale gold. And I'm going to take it on a clean MAC 242 brush, spray it with some Fix Plus, and pop it in the very inner part of the lid. From the Bad Habit palette, I'm going to go in with that bronzy gold shade called Grand Ply, and I'm going to pop that directly next to the shade called Tutu. and blend them together. This color is stunning. Gonna spray it with some Fix Plus just so that way I don't get as much fallout, because the first time I applied it completely dry, and I really want this color to stick and lay super flat on that concealer. From the Soft Glam palette, I'm gonna use the shade called Bronze, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So now that I have that bronzy shade all over the lid, I'm gonna go right back in with the black shade and really just smoke it out into the gold. Now don't be afraid to really just go in and buff out these lines. We can always go in with a little bit more of the gold over the black. We really just want things to be very nice, blended, and seamless. So it should look a little something like this, where it's like super duper black on both outer V's. I think both palettes they're living up to each other. Like, can we take a moment? Can we, for a second? Bad Habit is killing the game. So this is pretty much the eye look right here, guys. I'm gonna take a makeup wipe and I'm gonna take my nail and I'm gonna clean up directly underneath because it's looking a little bit dusty. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sharpen up this edge right here and also right here closest to my lash line. And I do have a little bit more fallout on the Bad Habit side than I do with the ABH side, but honestly, I can't even really tell the difference. All right, guys, so I went ahead and did my entire face off camera. Now we're just gonna go ahead and jump straight back into the eyes. I definitely want to work on the lower lash line. I kind of want to smoke things out. I'm gonna start off with the Bad Habit side. The first shade I'm gonna pick up is called Ballet Slippers, and I'm gonna take that on a flat definer brush by Sigma. I'm gonna start off with this shade just because it is a little bit lighter. I'm gonna press it closest to the lash line, wipe the brush off a little bit, and then I'm going to simply buff out that shadow and really just connect it with the upper shadow. So I'm just gonna run this right alongside my lower lash line. You can look up a little bit just to ensure that you really get that color closest to the lash line. Now this shadow does have a lot of pigment to it, and it does have a little bit of fallout, so you definitely want to be careful when applying the shadow. Just because we already have our foundation on, we don't want to get that shadow everywhere and ruin how flawless our face looks. I'm actually so obsessed with this eye look. In the process, I was like, girl, like, how are you even gonna save this? But you know what? I think I pulled it off. I'm gonna go in with my ABH Soft Glam palette and I'm gonna pick up this shade right here called Sienna, and I'm gonna take it on a clean flat definer brush and I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up some of that shadow, push it right here towards the outer edge. Once I have the color placed, I'm going to wipe the product off the brush and I'm just gonna go ahead and slide the shadow closest to the lash line. I'm gonna look up just to ensure that the shadow gets super duper close in this area, and I'm gonna go ahead and repeat those steps. I am gonna switch brushes. I'm gonna use my Morphe M507 and I'm gonna go in with my ABH Soft Glam palette and I'm gonna take the shade called Mulberry, which is a shade right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and build this up on the outer portion of my eye. So I'm just gonna go ahead and buff it right here towards the bottom to really just kind of intensify the shade and blow it out a little bit more. The shade I'm taking in the Arabesque palette is called Relieve, which is this guy right here, and I'm going to take it on that same Morphe M507 and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to start towards the outer edge and I'm slowly going to buff this shade on my lower lash line. Now I am going in with a little bit of product at a time just because I really want to build this color up little by little. It's a lot easier to build shadow than it is to try to take away at this point, so you want to go in with the color very sparingly. I'm going to pick up the black shade right here called Leotards on a flat definer brush by Sigma, and I'm only going to place the shade right here. Like literally, I'm going to just stamp the black right here on the outer corner, wipe my brush off completely, and then I'm going to just buff out this color right here on the outer edge. I'm not bringing it all the way in. I'm only keeping it right here on the outer portion of the lower lash line. Once I have that color placed, I'm gonna go in with a Morphe M507 and I'm just gonna go ahead and buff it out because I don't want it to be super duper harsh sitting on the lower lash line. And just like that, you guys, this is pretty much the eyeshadow look. I will say I had no idea what I was gonna do when I sat down, and I'm pleasantly surprised that I was able to create a look like this. You guys know, normally I kind of stick to my golds and my browns. I never really experiment with a lot of black. black, but this, your girl is shook. To really finish off the eyes, I'm gonna go in with my blinking beauty lashes in the style Samantha. And just like that, you guys, this is the look. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Honestly, let's do this test. Get your man to watch this video, ask him which side he thinks is cheap and which side he thinks is high end. If you can't tell, if he thinks it's undetectable, like honestly, if he gets it wrong, save all your coins. Honestly, you guys, I'm here to keep it real with you. I'm not saying that the Arabesque palette by Bad Habit is better than Soft Glam. I honestly think Soft Glam is one of its kind. ABH shadows cannot be replicated. They cannot be duped. And I say that strong-heartedly because I do feel like they put a lot of effort into the quality of their shadows and their pigments. The Arabesque palette by Bad Habit is similar in color. The formula is completely different than ABH Soft Glam, so don't get that twisted. I'm not here to bash ABH or try to, dog them on their sales. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm really just trying to let you guys know that you don't always need all of the expensive makeup that I show you guys on my channel. I'm not here to tell you to spend all your coins. That's not what I'm here to do. I really want to show you guys how to get amazing looks. I want to show you guys how to blend. I want to talk about makeup, and if that makeup just so happens to be affordable, then so be it. Beauty on a budget all day, every day. Honestly, I will always constantly support brands that are affordable because I remember back when I couldn't even afford makeup, to be honest. So that's all I wanted to say in this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the next one. Deuces. This is a look that you can wear on a casual walk in a park with your dog. We're going for a casual sleigh. Oh,